girls. Life is girls. Life is girls. Life is girls. We have a lot to say and we hope you're listening.
Welcome back to Life as Girls, a podcast for girls by girls. My name is Aubrey and I'm your host. Something most of you don't know about me yet is that I am an identical twin. If you read a lot of books or watch a lot of movies, then you probably know that being a twin can either be the best thing in the world or the worst thing in the world. For me, being a twin is both. One of the things people try to do in high school is stand out. Twins are some of the only people who know what it's like to literally be compared to someone every day for the rest of their lives. Because twins are around another person supposedly just like them 24/7, we're the people who are most familiar with that and what it's like to be compared to someone else all the time, and to know what it's like to have a built-in friend around you to support you. Today, I'm talking to my good friend Laura and my twin sister Liv to get their perspectives. Laura is a fraternal twin, and she and her twin brother Vincent are friends and classmates of mine at school. Laura and I have been friends since middle school, and being a twin is one of the many things we have in common. Liv is obviously my twin sister, but she's also a Girl Scout and extremely talented student. So let's get started. Liv and Laura, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Aubrey. I'm excited.
So I would like to start with you, Laura, and I want you to tell me about your experience being a twin when you were younger. I know, and a lot of people don't know this, but you moved here from Taiwan, so I'd especially like you to talk about that.
Yes. Okay, so I think first off, the main difference between us is obviously that I'm a fraternal twin.
Yeah.
And growing up as one in Taiwan especially put us in the sort of spotlight because twins aren't very common in Taiwan or Asian countries. So at school, everyone knew that I was a twin.
Yeah.
And our parents would put us in the same activities just because it was easier. But we still had our groups of friends because I'm girls have their friends, boys have their friends, and that's kind of how it worked out for us. We did fight a lot.
That's okay, us too. Obviously, we know about that. And then also, you guys shared a room, right?
So that wasn't actually until we moved here.
Okay.
Which was really interesting. So we grew up in separate rooms our entire childhood, and then we had this 1.5 year where we did share a room, and we were I think we were tweens, and it was hell. It was so bad. We shared a bunk bed. I always called bottom bunk, and I would always kick the top bunk, and we would chase each other around the house. It was insane.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Okay, and Liv, you're to share a room with me.
Yes,
tell us about that.
I have a fun story. So, we shared a room, I don't know, till middle school.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I don't remember quite when we split, but I was so frustrated having to share a room with Aubrey because she's messier than I am, and I like my space to be very clean. I was begging my parents to give me the guest room so that I could have my own room. I was I swear, Aubrey's so messy, and if we just split the room in half, you'd see that my half would be cleaner than hers, and that's why I should have my own room. So I did. I put a duct tape line down our room, and then her side was a mess, and mine was super clean. And my parents were yeah, sure, you can have the guest room, you can have your own room.
That worked out for you though.
It did.
It's fine.
Great.
Now we have our own rooms.
That's giving
and obviously
businesswoman,
Yeah,
lawyer.
that's tactful.
Woman in STEM.
Tactical.
Oh yeah, tactical. That's the word?
I don't know.
No, me either. Anyway, it's fine. Okay, so besides sharing our room, I want you to talk about how we shared classes and stuff. Well, not classes, but extracurriculars.
Yes. So in kindergarten, we had the same teacher. But then for the rest of elementary school, we didn't. But yeah, the first year we had a class together, and I think that really that started elementary school on a very specific path, because for the rest of the time we shared the same friends. Yeah, we were grouped together.
I thought you were gonna say started off on a wrong foot. I was oh.
I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at it, but a little bit. It was interesting how much it was. I mean, really, because you're just stuck in a room with people, and then all of a sudden they're oh, she's a twin. Look, they do everything together.
First impressions matter.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
totally.
I'd say, aside from that, we had a lot of the same friends. We did volleyball together. We joined Girl Scouts together. She didn't join the first year, but then after I had done it for a year, she joined Girl Scouts, so we had that in common. And so then we shared more friends. But yeah, we were definitely very close.
Yeah.
and did a lot of things together.
So, yeah, to summarize, we all were very close to our twins, like forced proximity, to say the least. Yeah, totally. And then,
Especially in elementary school.
yes, absolutely. And then, like, that's great because then we transitioned to middle school, which is, like, terrifying, but also it was more stressful. And especially, I think, for you, Laura, because you're moving to a new country and, like, you have to move away from your old friends and, like, your old house.
For us, well, obviously that was a period of time, like I said, that we fought a lot.
Yeah.
But it also created this bond in a way because we knew what each other were going through.
Yeah.
And we knew how hard it was for each other to adapt to this completely like new space and not knowing anyone but each other.
Yeah. Exactly.
So in a way, we kind of leaned on each other, but like in a subtle way, because we're not affectionate at all. But yeah, like we would help each other with our classes. That stayed until now. Like he has his strong suits, I have my strong suits. He's insane at math. I help him edit his essays, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that. Mm-hmm. And like now that you've moved here, do you think people care as much that you're a twin? Like I know in Taiwan it was like very emphasized that you're a twin.
Right.
But what's it like now that you're in the U.S.?
So y'all know how there's like 15 sets of twins in our grade. Insane.
Yeah,
it was definitely like a new scene for us that being a twin was so common.
Right.
And even like being a fraternal twin was so common.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And so we it gave us even more of an opportunity to like create our own identities. Like people don't even know I'm a twin a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like we're so separate. We do our own thing.
You have different friend groups. Yeah. All that. Yeah, exactly. So Liv, I'd like you now to talk about how like our relationship was impacted by middle school. I don't actually think, in my opinion, it was that drastic until high school, but like the label of being a twin, I think it kind of like grouped us together more in middle school, and I think when you're grouped together from a young age, it kind of stays with you all the way down. So I think that kind of doomed us. What do you think?
Well, I kind of agree, but something that I'll say is in middle school you had the opportunity to do band if you wanted to. Like that was a big thing. You did the the day that you spent testing out different instruments. Yeah. And I remember when my dad came in and was like, Aubrey's going to go test out instruments. Do you want to do it? And I was like, no. And it's not particularly because I didn't want to be in the band or orchestra or whatever. I was like, we cannot have another thing in common. Right. I think that was like a big motivator. I was like, no, we can't do band too. Yeah. Like, so, I think that I was trying my best to distance that idea that, we're just twins and nothing like that is who they are. I didn't want that to be the only part of our identity. And so I was trying my best to like differentiate us. And so I did that. Yeah. We got to do that because of middle school. Like you did band and I didn't, but also I got to do art classes. So like, cause in elementary school, you have to take all the same classes. Right. You know, you do PE and then music and then art classes. Blah, blah, blah. But then in middle school, you get to pick your classes. And so I was like, whatever keeps us apart from each other.
Whatever Aubrey doesn't pick.
Literally. As I hated art.
Well, like I enjoyed art. That that wasn't the only reason, but kind of too. It was definitely a contributing factor. Yeah.
Because like being in the same thing gives people opportunity to compare you. That was like a huge thing. So like Vincent and I took piano lessons from when we were 6 to when we moved, so 11. And we would have these like recitals and we usually go one right after the other. And it was just like a lot of pressure. And he is still a lot more motivated at practicing than me. So it's like I've kind of let it go at this point, but it's like always in the back of my head like, oh, he's so much better than me at this. And I'm sure y'all have felt that before.
Well, I think that's a really good point that like when you're together there's more competition. Like it forces the competition because a lot of the times our teachers would be like, oh, who's better at math, who's better at reading or like or English or whatever,
Mr. Rangel, hey, did you know that Vincent made a 103 on this test?
Yeah.
What'd you get?
And it's like,
yes, that's okay.
What?
Yeah. And like in sports, I think it's a little different because we do like different positions, but because we play the same sport, there's kind of like, oh, who's better at it?
Right.
And it's like,
And people don't think that it's offensive when they ask that question, but it really is.
Really is.
Yeah. And it's asked so much that it becomes frustrating.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's right on to our next topic. We feel like people are always comparing us to each other, and like they point out all the things we do in common. Okay, so like Liv, I want to talk to you. For us, people recognize that we do the same sports and we do a lot of the same classes, and like we have the same friends, and I could go on. But how do you think like constantly? I call it like constantly being perceived as like a pair, if that makes sense, and not like an individual. Like, how do you think that affects our relationship?
I would think like being seen as a unit instead of an individual has made us fight. Like that, I think, is the biggest motivator for our fights. And we fight fairly often, but I think that I will just go off sometimes. I think we've mentioned before that like sometimes when Aubrey and I fight, we treat each other differently than we would treat a friend.
Right.
And it's I think a big part of that is because we're kind of like fighting about something bigger. We're both trying to, like, we just want to be an individual. It's really frustrating, and it causes a lot of competition and stress when people are, always thinking about you as a unit and you're being judged off of somebody else's actions and stuff like that. So, we just want to be unique. We want to have our own things. And so I think that causes a lot of fights between us.
Yeah, or like I agree with that. Like we kind of emphasize the ways that we're different.
Yes, especially in our appearance too. Like if we walk out of the house, like we'll go into the living room after getting ready for the day, and like we'll end up wearing like almost the same outfit. We're like, go change.
Yeah, like the first person to walk out in the same sweatshirt, it's like whoever walked out second, they're like, you gotta change. You gotta go.
Same with like hairstyles too. We'll like both be wearing the same hair. I'm like, nope, can't happen. We gotta be different.
Right. I can't relate to that at all.
I know, well, I mean, that's interesting to me. Like, you are a twin, but that's definitely not your experience. Definitely because you're fraternal. But instead, it's like, I kind of like what we've talked about is that the person driving the comparison is your parents. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, I do want to talk about
that. Talk about it. Go on.
So, my parents like to do this little fun thing called comparing us. Now that we're in like high school and we're like nearing college, blah, 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 like academics are getting serious. A lot of it is academics. For example, when we took Spanish, Vincent was not as good at it as I was. So my dad would be like, Vincent, did you know that you're ending this 6 weeks with a B? Like, look at Laura's grades, like, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then, or like, this summer, my brother is taking ACC summer classes, but I chose not to. And they, like, made a big deal out of it. And it's just, like, stuff like that, like, jabs this specific place in your heart that has been hurt so many times, but it's just like kind of numb now, but you like still feel it, you know what I mean?
Yes. Or like you're held to a higher standard.
Yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you kind of push each other, motivate each other.
It's
for sure it can be negative, but if you could,
it's negative if your parents are like putting you down because of the other person, but if you're motivating each other to like study or to like do your permit stuff, like stuff like that.
Yes. I mean, I will say, you feel like there's good intentions in there, like trying to take the best of your qualities and like the best of his qualities and like make sure you both have them. And I mean, you guys are very different, so I think there's like a lot of different like things that you have that he doesn't.
Yes.
And I think that's a little less it's less distinguishable, or it's less obvious for us. Me and Liv, like which traits are like extremely different. So
for like the same versus different friend group thing, I think is a good point, because Vincent took longer to transition when we moved to like find a group of friends that he was comfortable with.
Yeah.
And so my parents would like try to get me to invite him, stuff like that. Like he didn't want that, and I didn't either, but like they saw it from an outside perspective, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I really do. That was like we talked about the lows of being a twin, and I really want to talk about like what like you absolutely just hate most about being constantly compared to like someone that's really important to you. I mean, like for us, it's our twin, but for other people, it might be their siblings, or it might be just anyone else that they really value. We talked about stereotypes we really, really hate. Like, do you guys have like a stereotype you hear a lot that you like absolutely hate?
Anything that relates to like people think we're the same person, it seems like so obvious that we're not, that you would think people wouldn't think that all the time, but they really do. Like,
I have a question.
yes.
When someone says, oh, didn't you do this? Or, wait, was that Aubrey? Or, like, you know?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
Do people do that a lot?
I think,
Yes.
I mean, yes, because I
To
feel like
answer your
people just, like,
question.
people don't know. And especially the teachers that we had, like, when we had the same math
yeah.
teacher, for sure, he couldn't even remember which one we were. If he
Or
didn't see
wait,
us
was
next
that
to
the
each
other one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something else that bothers me is when people say, which one are you? I'm like, I am not an object. I'm a person. You can say, I'm sorry, I can't remember if you're liver, Aubrey.
Right, exactly.
But not which one are you. That's a big thing.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
don't
big
like
pet
that.
peeve.
Our volleyball coach calls us twin. And it's like,
Yeah.
really?
Like, twink it over here. I'm like, you're not making an effort
Which one?
to get to know me. And
Yes.
that's one of those things that's like, you're looking at me as if I was a pair and not an individual.
It feels
and that's really frustrating.
disrespectful.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm sure they don't see it that way, but I will take effort over like that any day. Like,
Yeah.
even if you try and you get my name wrong, I don't care. I really don't care.
Actually, like, even had a friend say to me that, like, oh, but y'all are like the same person. I'm like, what? No, we're not. Like, that's so.
That's, like,
that's
the
definitely
worst
like
thing to hear.
Yes, that's something I hate.
People, when you're a twin, people try to find labels that are like, oh, you're the one who's good at this. Well, especially for Vince and I. And, oh, you're the one who's in this. To, like, try to distinguish. We do completely different things. He's in orchestra. He's in robotics.
Yeah.
Right.
Stuff like that. It's funny when I go to his group of friends and they see how different I am.
Yeah.
And also when he comes to my group of friends and they see how different he is.
Right.
But, like, he's at the same time the person, like, one of the people who, like, know me the best. Which is
Yeah.
also a very fun when you fight. Because, like,
Because they
can
really
hit
know
you
where
where
it
hurts.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
talking about this, like, we think we're especially mean to each other when we fight, like, as a twin, like, or even, maybe even a sibling, like, because you know the other person so well,
Yeah.
you can say some really mean,
Hurtful.
Yes.
hurtful things.
And then there's that sibling thing where you, like, don't apologize to each other, but you're just, like, friends again after.
Right.
You're like,
Yeah.
but it's fine, because
And you just, like, go to their room and, like, hey, guess what happened to me today?
Right.
And then you're friends again, and
or
you
like
laugh
hanging
each other, and
around,
it's fine.
yeah, and
Exactly.
it's fine. Yeah, I really hate, as like us being twin sisters, people think they need to be like know us both the same, I guess, or like the same level of friendship. That's kind of hard to explain, but like I think like for me, I had like a group of band friends. Like I'll just
Right.
put that because I met them through band. And they would like extend invitations out to you, Liv. And it was like, I was totally fine with it. I'm not like offended. I'm like, you
but
can't
I
have
was.
my friends.
Yeah, it was definitely a pity invite.
But
Yes,
it's
definitely
like,
a pity
you don't,
invite.
I wish there wasn't a pressure for people to be like, oh, because they're twins, let me just try to
Yeah.
be friends with both of them. I think if they understood
that
that
happens
we're
all the time.
twins are completely okay with having different friend groups, I think it's really easy to see when it's like fraternal or just like, I guess it's like guy twin, girl twin, I'll say.
Yeah.
Because like your friend groups are like, if you're a girl, you're naturally friends with girls and the
Yeah.
other way around. But for like, if you're the same, like girl, you know, just to categorize it like that, I think people are less, they care more and they're like, oh, let me just be friends with both of you. And I wish
Yeah.
they knew they didn't have to. It's like, it doesn't
Right.
matter to
Yeah.
me. I would rather like
Yes.
make genuine friends that know me instead of like trying to be nice and
They're
meet
like,
both of us.
Oh,
Because
I
it
wanna
feels
hang out with
ingenuine.
Aubrey. Oh, I should invite them.
Yeah. Right, because like
Yeah.
you know, we don't have to be friends. I won't be
No,
offended if
yeah.
you're best friends with Aubrey and not me.
Yeah.
But also, that's how we made a lot of
But also,
Like,
I'm
that's
all
what I
for,
feel.
I'm all
Yes,
for,
true.
you know, us
is a
meeting
good
people
point.
through each
Yes.
So
other.
it's really hard. It's hard to say because
Yeah.
But I also think that those friendships have come from us spending a lot of time together
Yeah.
and not necessarily because there was a pity invite. And stuff.
Right.
So it's like,
I think the most
I guess
natural
I'll
way-
just stay, you know, hang out with you.
The most natural way is like in class when you have different classes
Yeah.
with each other. But I wish, like, I don't think you would ever be like, well, I have to do both of them. Like, other
Yeah.
people in our life, I don't think they should be afraid of that, is all I mean. I think
Yes.
it's completely fine. And, like, we're not going to be sitting at home crying about it if you invite one of us and not the other. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, like, downsides, okay? Let's talk about, like, our favorite, like, upsides of being a twin. And we talked about this twin telepathy.
Ooh,
It's so real.
it is so real.
And I actually love it that sometimes I'm thinking things and Liv already knows exactly what.
Yes.
Like the other day, Liv was like talking about a TikTok, or maybe she was like talking about TikTok and I already knew exactly what TikTok she was talking about. Like, she's freaking out about it. And I was like, yeah, that's that one. It's like that Taylor Swift one. Like, I already know.
I came into her room this morning. I was like, Taylor Swift played No Body, No Crime.
Yes, for surprise.
And Aura was like, yeah, I already knew.
Yeah. Or like Liz freaking out. She's like, oh my God. And I was like, I know. The tonight's surprise songs were insane. Like, you know, it's like we already know exactly what you're talking about. And that's awesome. Like, I like that there's no one that knows each other quite like your twin does. It's like... It's like, yes, it's a forced friendship, but when you're able to take advantage of, like, the fact that you are, like, a twin with someone and turn it into a friendship and not just, like, a sibling relationship, then, like, you can have the advantage of being close to someone that, like, no one else has that level of closeness with.
Yes.
What I like is that there's so much honesty in the relationship that when they're being really nice, like, if Vincent's being really nice, I'm like... Wow.
Yeah.
He actually likes me.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, I think, like, you know me better than anyone in the whole world. And so, like, and also, you're the same age. And you do the same, like, you experience a lot, like, you go to school together. So you have a built-in best friend who you have this, like, years of trust to lean on, and they can give you advice because they know exactly what you're going through. You go to school together and you're both probably, you know the same kind of people, see them on social media or whatever. So you can ask that, like, I can always ask Aubrey for advice because I know that she'll know what I'm going through.
Or like something I like is that I'm not afraid to overstep. Like, I can be offensive.
Be honest. Very honest.
Yes.
I can be offensive, but at least I know I'm like, I don't feel like out of place trying to talk to you about something. Or like I can do things that would completely embarrass me in front of my friends, but would like not embarrass me in front of you. So
right. One thing I just got over with Vincent was cussing in front of him, which is like really late because, well, it's like been part of my vocabulary for quite some time.
I understand that, yes.
But just like, it still feels wrong, but like I don't care now. Yes. Because I know he doesn't care.
Yes.
Like, I know.
No, I totally understand that. I feel very comfortable doing a lot of things around Aubrey that I'm like, if somebody else saw me doing this, they'd probably think I was so crazy. Yeah. Or like very embarrassing or whatever, but it's just a safe space.
Exactly. Yeah, you get more comfortable. Yeah. No, I really like that. So I think like a great way to kind of end this is to talk about like advice that you have for other people who like define themselves by being compared or comparing themselves to others. So like
not necessarily a twin, but
yes, just like anyone who like really like finds their self-worth by like comparing themselves to others, what would you say to them? Because I know what I would say. I think it's like for me, when I see other people comparing themselves to others, I especially see it through social media. And they're like seeing people's feeds. Yes. And they're like, oh, look at them. They're hanging out with their friends. Or like, they're just having the time of their life. And I think like, or like they're scrolling on TikTok, seeing other people do so much fun things. And then they're like feeling bad about themselves. And I just want to say like, when you find yourself in that situation where you're just scrolling, like you just need to like get off social media. Yes. And you just need to take a break.
Read a book, take a walk, whatever.
Read a book.
Just not being on your phone. Like, go stare at the fridge instead. Like, do anything. Just don't be on social media. I think social media has made a lot of problems with, like, me comparing myself to other people. Or, like, yeah.
For sure.
Definitely.
I think if it's specifically another person that you're always grouped with, defining your success as something completely separate from theirs.
Yeah. Totally.
Yes. So, like, if you see them succeed at something... Oh, great for them, but it doesn't affect you because you're your own person.
Yes.
And you drive your own success.
Totally. I think it's also good to like set boundaries. Like for Liv and I, we're working on a college essay right now, and we're like, we can't even read each other's. Yeah. Because we're not trying to like compare our essays off of each other's.
Exactly. Like, I don't want to.
That's very smart.
Yes. So like, I feel like that applies not just to like anything school wise, but you can always like set yourself that boundary and be like, make sure that you don't cross it.
I would just say, remember you're an individual, unique person who you're fundamentally different from the person next to you, and you have different thoughts, and that's a good thing. Like, everyone is not supposed to be the same as one another. Like, that's what makes us creative, and that's what makes us motivated. And I think you can use comparison in a positive way too. Like, it doesn't have to be negative. Like, oh my gosh, look at that person over there. They're so much prettier than me, or they're so much smarter than me. But you can say like, what is that person doing that I'm not, that could help me be more successful?
Right. Or what about that person do I like so much?
Right. Yeah. We're so good at giving advice. Well, guys, thanks for sharing everything with me today. I had a lot of fun.
Me too.
Thanks for being on the podcast. Bye, guys.
Thanks for
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Life as Girls. See you next time.
If you enjoyed this episode of Life as Girls, be sure to write a review and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And a big thank you to our sponsor, the Girl Scouts of Central Texas. You can learn more about them at www.gsctx.org. If you are interested in sponsoring this podcast, or if you have a topic you'd like for us to talk about, email us at communications@gsctx.org. See you next time.